What's up, everybody? How is it going? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Filling in the Gaps. It's your boy Flojo, and we are here tonight on a Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to everybody. It's hump day, huh? How's everybody feeling? Before we get into it, let me just give a shout out to everybody that's here tonight. Mac Dizzleson, what's going on? I see you. Jazzy's here. Who else we got? Anna Banana, Bean Babies in the house. Hey, shout out to Mac Dizzles, who you just renewed your membership, right? Why is it not working? Oh, there you go. The sound effects are sounding, you guys. I'm going to play a little bit of background music, and I hope you guys are okay with that. Who else do we got in the house? I see Anna Banana. Tammy's here. Cindy from sunny South Florida. Valerie Verville. That's so hard for me to pronounce. I'm never gonna get it right. I see Tammy's in the house, and then I rock. Who else is here? Jad, my mod is here. What up, Mama Flo? Michelle, I see you. Miss Dizzle. Hey, Didi Fuentes. All right, we haven't even gotten this show kicked off yet, and Didi Fuentes just donated a $3.99 super sticker. Thank you so much for your donation. What's up, everybody? I see Miss Dizzle's here. Ash Bash. Oshkosh Bigosh. What's up, Ash? How's it going? Ronan, I see you everywhere. What's up, Ronan? Didi Fuentes, thank you so much. I appreciate you. What is up? I honestly, I wasn't gonna come on tonight, but all of you guys in the Discord were like, you better come on. So Ash, I'm here. I made it. I made it. You guys were really active today on the Discord, and I loved it. How was it? Everybody that was in the Discord today, how was it? Wasn't it active today? Y'all were killing it. Art Deco Rose is in the house. I see you. So let's see. So before we get started, all right, I want to play a video for you guys regarding a missing persons report out of Stockton, California. Now, this is a case that probably hasn't made its way down here to Los Angeles, but I had a coworker tell me about this story, and I guess somehow, some way, she found out that I started streaming, and she was telling me that I need to cover this case. So I do. That's crazy. There's a police chase going on right now too. Man, this would have been a perfect members only. But I do want to make sure that we check this video out because my voice is hard to hear again. Again. What is going on? Can you guys hear me? I think I might have to get a new mic, you guys. We might have to invest in another microphone. But you guys let me know. All right, so as soon as this music dies out in about a couple seconds, you're a police chase junkie, Ronan? I know, so am I. Normally we'd just jump right into it, but yeah, the police chase is going on right now. Do we need a segue or what? Should we just jump right into it? All right, let me see. You guys want to jump into the car chase? It's gonna be up to y'all. You guys drive the show. Type in one in the chat if we should just get into the car chase. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to decide, and then we'll jump right back into the show right after. Y'all let me know. I'm gonna let you guys decide. And if you guys don't want it, y'all better type in another number. Y'all are wild. You guys really want a car chase right now? Who's covering it? Let me see. Y'all are funny. All right, let's see. All right, I guess we can play it here. Here you guys go. To satisfy you guys.
And that part of the world is not very far from the freeway, but it's also not super.
I don't know where this is at. So this is in Westlake in Los Angeles. Ooh, looks like they might do a pit maneuver.
Trying to be much more assertive in their actions with this driver.
Sorry, y'all. If you guys are
several times near that.
If you guys are new to the stream, sometimes we do catch live car chases. Normally we do it in the members only, but the crowd has decided.
Decided, oh, well, this is my opportunity then to make a right-hand turn, get away from you. But yeah, you do see that black and white kind of coming up very, very close. They have to make, quick decisions on when.
You guys don't get car chases in Chicago?
They don't want to put anybody in danger. They want to make sure
there's too much going on in Chicago.
Around, because if that car loses control, ideally they pit it one corner, and so the car will spin. And if they do it just right, they might not crash. But
all right, so this is a pursuit of a DUI driver. Looks like they're in Westlake here in Los Angeles.
Rattle that driver.
Yeah.
Shake that driver up.
How many times have we seen a situation where they've been pitted and then they just reverse so that they can get out of the situation?
Let's get some expertise from our police specialist, Tim Lynn. Tim, this is a dangerous one just in the way the driver is driving and kind of ignoring the signs and the street markings.
They happen all times of the day, Dizzle.
You know, at one point when I first saw this, Christina, it looked like they were trying to get up to look in the vehicle because they were so far ahead. Because normally they just get to that fender right on the edge. You don't have to get much of the car to get it to go around. But to me, that one vehicle looked like he tried to go up and take a look inside to see what was in there. But the erratic driving back and forth and crossing over lanes and the lines and starting and stopping, got a pedestrian.
They got people on the street. That's when it gets crazy, guys, when they have pedestrians, right?
Yeah, trying to get that little clickbait for your social media. But also, too, when they start circling areas
Got
like
you,
this,
Anna.
you start bringing people out of their houses and into the street to watch it go by. And then the problem is that just causes more problems for the law enforcement, because now they have to deal with innocent people being in the way. And then if this person's coming along and doesn't see the person out there with their camera, you can run over. But you see he's driving at times blacked out and with no headlights on. It's hard to see people in those dark residential streets. But as you were mentioning about the pit maneuver, yeah, just get up on them on that edge of the rear fender, and then take them on around. Normally, when a car spins around and goes backwards, it has an automatic system in the computer that will shut the engine down, and you have to go through a reset process to get it back on. But unfortunately,
That is wild, Ronan.
Like that's going to happen here. Getting up in a driveway now.
Whoa.
Yeah, you just went into a parking lot.
Oh,
That's interesting. That doesn't seem very
boxed in.
Yeah, you're going to be door open.
He about to give up, you
Driver's
guys.
decided, I think I'm going to do a little dance.
Oh, he's gonna do a dance
and have my moment of freedom before police officers.
He's got something in his hand too. That's scary.
Well, hopefully they get up there quick enough before this person gets back in the car and drives away.
What?
And if they don't cooperate, then they're going to probably end up needing the less lethal or a taser. But at this point, it looks like they're trying to give commands. It does look like a female.
Whack.
Yeah, it looks like a female to me as well.
Commands to come back.
If that's a man,
not cooperating. At one point,
you got some tight ass pants.
Hands behind her back, went right to the ground.
Oh, it's a girl.
So obviously, a frequent flyer they have.
Fail.
Pursuit.
Or somebody who is under the influence and decided, hey, for my last few minutes of fame, I'm going to really take advantage of it. So she was dancing around like this
so it was
is
a
fun
she.
thing to do, not something that is going to get her into some trouble.
Well,
note, she wasn't
drop the L's in the chat. Drop L's in the chat for a failed car chase, y'all.
There was a vehicle in the way.
Car chase failed.
Top of your screen there.
Sorry about that.
Looks like this pursuit could have gone on for a long time, but now you have it over and nobody got hurt. That's the big thing.
Yeah. Very good.
Well,
Tim Lynn, thank you for your assist on this one. Appreciate it.
That was boring, you guys. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, right? All right. Back to the story that I was talking about a few minutes ago. So we're going to jump right over here. Back to this story right over here. This is a story about a missing girl that went missing in Stockton, California. Now, I think what's really weird about this case is just how it actually happened. Apparently, she was with some friends that went on like a dune buggy ride, and her friends got into some sort of an accident. But for some reason, her friends were able to return, but Lupita Ontiveros was not able to return. And she's missing right now, right? 21-year-old mother is missing. And apparently, I think they found maybe her phone and her jacket like miles away from the crash site. So it's just a little weird. Ms. Dizzle, you're familiar with this one? So I just heard about this, and obviously we'll watch this video because I haven't seen this actual video yet. I don't know the actual story, but I do want to make sure that we share this with you guys, right? We don't just cover the things that happen here in LA, right? We're going to start covering a ton of other things, right? So I feel like this is worth watching.
Search is underway right now for a missing 21-year-old mom from Stockton. The Highway Patrol says she was last seen early Wednesday morning when the dune buggy she was riding in with friends crashed into a canal in Merced County. ABC 10's Gabriel Porras spent the day near Gustine, where family and volunteers have been searching.
The dozens of people you see behind me make up most of that search, at least for right now. It's mostly community members. Family of the missing mama has been driving out here from Stockton an hour every single day. And they say that seeing this is both overwhelming in a good way, but also frustrating. They say they want help from law enforcement, who they say they've only seen out here a couple of times. For 5 days, they have searched, they have prayed, and still for the family of Lupita Ontiveros every single day.
It's hard. It's really hard.
To leave the place where the 21-year-old mom from Stockton was last seen without knowing where she is.
When will this pain stop?
A question Lupita's cousin Evelyn longs to answer, but she does know when it started.
Wednesday early morning, around 1 a.m.
That's when the CHP says a dune buggy with Ontiveros and 3 other people inside crashed into the Delta Mendoza Canal near State Route 140. According to the CHP, the dune buggy's driver and 2 passengers were able to make it out, but Lupita has not been found.
We did go and we did find where the tracks are of where the dune buggy fell into the water.
CHP also says the driver left the scene but was...
So apparently, I guess there were more than one person on the ATV, I'm assuming. It was the driver and 2 friends, including Lupita. And they were able to make it out of the canal, but Lupita wasn't.
later arrested.
Whoa. Hold on. What did we miss? The dune buggy fell into the water.
CHP also said...
So CHP also says the driver left the scene, but was later arrested.
As the driver left the scene but was later arrested. Lupita's mom pleading for justice, saying she won't stop until she finds her daughter. Because she says her daughter must rest either in her home or in heaven. Family says Lupita has an 18-month-old daughter who needs her. Friends, family, and volunteers showing up to help.
We lived in the same household ever since we grew up. She was a great person, you know. Yeah, she liked to party, she liked to go out, but whenever it came to family, you know, she was always there. She always wanted to be with us, wanted to be around us, have family trips. Her contagious laugh. It's hard to not know where she is and not know that maybe it's the last time we heard her or seen her.
Man, she was really young, right? 21 years old with an 18-month-old little girl. I really just hope that the father is in the child's life. I don't know if they mentioned anything about the father of the child. So I just hope that, you know, the father is there so then that way he could help raise her. It's really tragic, right? I really wonder what the friends were thinking. Did they just decide, you know, we're not going to go looking for her or what? You know, obviously, if there's any more updates on this, we'll definitely check it out. I don't know if I told you guys earlier, but a coworker found out that I was streaming, and she told me that she thinks I should at least check this video out, so then that way I can go back to work tomorrow and say, hey, guess what? We talked about it. Anyways, prayers for Lupita Ontiveros. Hopefully that she's found alive, and she's able to return home safe. Really, really sad.
The County Sheriff's Office says it is using dive teams and patrols here on the canal, but that the canal's murkiness and the fast current are posing challenges. For now, Lupita's family is watching over her daughter as they continue to search here, pray, and hold out hope, at least for answers. In Merced County, Gabriel Porras, ABC 10.
Truly heartbreaking story. CHP is leading that investigation. We reached out to them today for an update. We have not yet heard back. Tonight, a search...
Oops. All right, y'all. So what else happened today? Actually, a lot of stuff happened, right? Sassy Kisses, how's it going? How are ya? Military Ma is in the house. Ronan's here. Who else? If I haven't said hello to you, make sure you guys say what's up in the chat so I can shout you guys out. Make sure you guys say what's up. MacDizzle. Breaking news 1000. Circle Gang. Flo Joe filling in the gaps emojis. Okay, let's go. All right. Anyways, let's talk about TMZ. TMZ was on a roll today, right? Earlier today, they let us all know that our boy Neo Langston has finally showed up in a Los Angeles courthouse. In this article, it says that David's friend Neo appears before the grand jury. So Neo is currently in LA. I'm assuming he's still here, right? It says David's friend Neo Langston finally went in front of a grand jury after being arrested in Montana for failing to appear as a witness. Neo showed up Wednesday to a Los Angeles courthouse where a grand jury has been convened since November to gather information on the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose dismembered corpse was found last September inside David's Tesla in Hollywood. And here we have our boy, Neo Langston. He's, dressed to the nine, right? He's got his little suit on. He showed up. And look at this look on his face, you guys. Tell me if looks could kill. I don't know, but Neo's starting to look like a little K-pop star, right? Mama Mia, how's it going? Welcome. he had a chat with the grand jury, Ronan said, right? And that's funny, right? Because apparently, well, I guess we'll continue reading it though. But it says, we got Neo on his way out of the courthouse and he was mum as our photographer peppered him with questions. So here, let's go take a look at this video because Neo's leaving the courthouse and it looks like he's with his attorney.
Hey Neo, why are you being called to testify today?
Hold on. Is it me or does it look like he's smirking a bit? Or is he not smirking? No smile at all.
Being called to testify today.
I feel like right there he smirked. Like,
hey Neo, why are you being called to testify today? How did everything go in there?
Mark is in the house. What's up, Mark?
Why were you avoiding testifying?
So why are you being a little big?
Why were you avoiding testifying?
Look at that. See, that's the smirk. He's laughing right there. But I don't know what's funny.
Why were you avoiding testifying?
I guarantee you his attorney had given him instructions that no matter what happens, no matter what cameras you run into, you are not going to say it. Wait, hold on. What kind of backpack is...
Do you think David is innocent?
Yo, believe it or not, Neo and I might have the same backpack, y'all.
Is there anything you want to tell the public about the David case? Anything?
Wow. Oh, hell no. That's crazy. I think I have that backpack. Anyways, that was Neo leaving the courthouse today. There was also another video that came out. Sus Flow might be Neo. Oh, hell no. No, Jazzy, you tripping. I bet his attorney told him not to smile, but he couldn't help it, huh? He couldn't help it. I seen a little smirk. I seen him. No, we are not twinsies, okay? Keep in mind, his mama probably hates me, right? We did it. We did it. I did not do it. No. Anyways, TMZ was able to catch up with Beth Silverman, the deputy DA presenting the case in Los Angeles, on her way into the courthouse. And she was standing 10 toes down, you guys. She was standing 10 toes down. Let's watch this video.
How do you feel about walking into court today? Can you tell us anything about where you are in the case? Why is Neo being called as a witness?
Beth Silverman is not hearing it. She
Why
said,
hasn't David been arrested?
She said, hello. She said, new phone. Who this?
Why hasn't David been arrested or where's David at? Can you tell us anything?
I'm surprised that she was by herself, though. She didn't have her whole entourage with her.
Called as a witness. Why hasn't David been arrested or where's David at?
It's full of laboo-boos, Tammy said. You think he's getting ready to give them out to everybody?
Thank you.
She is definitely go away vibes, right? Okay, we're done with that one. So it says here that Neo was in front of a grand jury for about 30 to 45 minutes, you guys. He has since left the courtroom. Is that all? Hold on. This thing is stuck. Oh, hell no. Okay, there you go. Given Neo's, hold on, where are we at? So Neo was in front of a grand jury for about 30 to 40 minutes and he has since left the courtroom. 30 to 40 minutes, you guys. Now, there's been talks about what this means, right? Is Neo actually going to be questioned as a witness, or did he potentially plead the fifth? Now, I'm curious what you guys think in the chat. Do you think that he just pleaded the fifth to every question that was asked? Because I think that would kind of narrow down like how much time they need to spend with them, right? I think he invoked his Fifth Amendment rights, Hope says. And I think you might be right. Sydney said the lawyer definitely advised him not to say anything. He was getting grilled for sure. I don't know. I mean, is he getting grilled if he doesn't answer any of the questions? Art Deco Rose said you can't plead the fifth with a grand jury. I thought you could. Or what if you were granted immunity? If you're granted immunity, you can you still can't plead the fifth though, right? Obviously not. I don't think you can plead the fifth in a grand jury. Am I wrong? Do we have any legal eagles in the chat? Where's our legal correspondent? Do we have our legal correspondent in the house right now? Let's see. I guess we can ask. We're going to ask Gemini. We're going to see what Gemini says. Here's how the Fifth Amendment works in that setting. The right to remain silent. In a grand jury, you generally cannot refuse to show up if subpoenaed, but you can refuse to answer specific questions. Here you go. If the answer could provide evidence that might be used to prosecute you for a crime. So here's the scope of practice, right? You can't just say I plead the fifth to your name or address. It must apply to information that provides a link in the chain of evidence for criminal charge. The procedure: if a question is incriminating, you state that you are invoking your Fifth Amendment privilege. You may then be allowed to step out of the courtroom to consult with your attorney before finalizing that decision. So questions regarding the immunity catch, right? This is the big but of the grand juries. The prosecution can strip away your right to plead the fifth by granting you immunity. And so we've heard before in the past that Beth Silverman is not a big fan of granting immunity, at least in any of the cases that I've heard, right? So for the use of immunity, they promise not to use your specific testimony or leads derived from it to prosecute you. And the results from that is once you have immunity, you can no longer claim the fifth because your testimony can no longer incriminate you. But if you still refuse to talk at that point, a judge can hold you in contempt, which can lead to jail time. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that jail time will can only be for 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. I'll definitely have to look into that. Let me ask. Let's see what Gemini says. Okay, so the true limit, you can be held for the life of the grand jury up to a maximum of 18 months under federal law. Wow. Ardeka Rose says, okay, we are wrong. DJ See No Evil, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. He says, what's up, Flojo? If you get immunity, you cannot plead the fifth. That's correct. You can plead the Fifth Amendment during grand jury testimony. The Fifth Amendment protects individuals from being compelled to testify against themselves in a criminal case. So it begs the question, was Neo brought in? Now, I wonder if that was a tactic, right? For Beth Silverman to bring him in to ask him questions to see if she was going to turn or flip on David. And because he potentially may have pleaded the fifth, then they probably knew that they could they can get him as or charge him as a suspect. I don't know. I think it's really, really odd that he only spent. Now, the reason why it's odd, right, is because we know that Rob Morgenroth, the person who was his day-to-day manager, he was grilled for 3 days, right? And now we have Neo only going in for 30, 40 minutes. So it says here, given Neo's friendship with David, who is a suspect in Celeste's murder, it's surprising Silverman only spent 40 minutes with them. The prosecutor has been aggressive with questioning witnesses. TMZ broke the story. Okay, I feel like I just had to read that a million times. TMZ broke the story. Neo, a popular streamer, was cuffed by a small army of cops in Helena, Montana after LA judge signed off on an arrest warrant. Here's his mugshot, right? Neo, who has been squirreled away at his mom's. Damn, they're just taking shots at him, right? Neo, who had been squirreled away at his mom's house, was then transported to LA, booked into LAPD's Metropolitan Detention Center on $60,000 bail before bonding out. Now it appears Neo was asked questions in the Rivas case. Multiple witnesses have already testified. So you guys, who's going to be next? Who do you think is going to be next? Let's see. Zav had a live tonight. Shout out to Zav. I was in there for like 2 minutes. Then I had to leave. Let's see. But only if they are telling the truth, right? Like if they catch him lying, he violated the deal. Well, I mean, you know, if he's lying, I think, isn't that perjury, right? That's perjury. You can't lie when you're testifying. But also, they're gonna lock in a testimony, right? So then when they call him up during trial, he can't switch his story up. I think that would be the most important part, right? To see who gets their story caught up, you know, when it goes to trial. Yeah, I think it was only, what, 30 minutes or so? I don't know. But he has hired an attorney. And I think the attorney's name, if I can remember off the top of my head, is Tarek Squami? Shawi? I don't remember. One of those. But it was a criminal defense attorney who he hired, or who he was walking with when he was coming out of the courthouse, right? But if we get any more updates on Neil Langston, we'll definitely let you know. I don't know. It's February now, and they said that they were going to be having a few more witnesses come in to testify in the month of February, and then I guess from there they're going to be making some decisions. So I'm a little excited to see where this goes. It's been 5 months already since we've heard really anything solid and any progress in the case of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and I just hope Shocky is what Cassier said. Thank you so much. Tarek Shocky. That's who he is. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and transition over to Nancy Guthrie. Today has been a wild day when it comes to this case, right? Last night during our live, we had mentioned that, well, Ashley Banfield had a really great video, very informative, had a lot of information on it. She was talking about a ton of things that came directly from her sources. And then we wake up in the morning and then TMZ just shits all over it, right? TMZ put out an article earlier this morning. All right, close this. TMZ put an article out early in the morning, and it says, Nancy Guthrie, cops deny report brother-in-law could be a suspect. I don't feel like this was the title of it earlier this morning. Does anybody remember what the title was? Because I feel like they were shitting on Ashley Banfield. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. If I'm wrong about this, I apologize, but I could have sworn the title in this was completely different, and it sounded like they were shitting on Ashley Banfield and her reporting. Art Deco Rose said, hit the like, you guys. So you guys got to hit the like button. Hit the like, y'all. We got 41 people in here. It's a slow night tonight, but it's okay. I'm hanging out with you guys. Ash Bash said, nothing about this makes sense to me. Too many things keep getting switched around. Yeah, you know, I think this case is a little odd, right? We'll get into some of the stuff that happened. I think I was only able to follow this case today up until like around 1 or 2 o'clock. So there's probably a few things that have happened that I haven't really followed up with, or that I'm not aware of everything, maybe, right? I do have a video from Nancy Grace that we're gonna watch because I've seen that she put one out earlier. So we're probably gonna watch that. So here. TMZ put out this report. It says, cops deny report brother-in-law could be a suspect. So this article came out at 6:55 a.m. And basically what it did was it took Ashley Banfield's entire report that she did last night and just kind of flipped it upside down. Ashley Banfield was saying that the son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, was considered a prime suspect. And then this morning when we woke up, TMZ said, no, he's not. No, he's not. Nobody said he is. The report was wrong. No suspects have been identified in the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, Pima County Sheriff's Department said Wednesday morning. The department tells TMZ that we have not identified a suspect or person of interest in this case. Detectives continue to speak with anyone who may have had contact with Mrs. Guthrie. We are also waiting on additional forensic results. They also add we're not confirming the car being seized, but we are unsure where that reporter is getting that information. Okay. So that was the sheriff's department that said that. There's potentially a stunning twist in the kidnapping of today's anchor Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy, and Ashley Banfield report claiming her son-in-law might be a suspect. Banfield, an independent journalist and former News Nation host, reported Tuesday night a law enforcement source told her Tommaso Cioni has been identified by police as a possible suspect in the case. And so as you can see here, here's a photo of Annie Guthrie and her husband Tommaso Cioni. Look, it's dated for 2/3, so I'm assuming this was either yesterday or sometime last night. Cioni is married to Savannah's sister Annie, and we know that she was the last person to see Nancy on Saturday night when they reportedly had dinner. So they had dinner. They dropped Nancy off back at home anywhere between 9:30 9:45. They said it's unclear if Cioni was also at the dinner. As you know, Nancy's family called police Sunday after they got word that she didn't show up to her regular Sunday church services. This is crazy, you guys. This is totally crazy, right? Ashley Banfield, a well-known reporter, gets shitted on by TMZ, and I didn't really like it. I didn't like that. Viking Woman's here. How's it going, Viking Woman? How's it going? How's it going? Stars, what's up, Mr. Radio? What up? What up? Kimberly Bridges is in the house. How's it going? Sorry, I'm just reading the chat, y'all. Might as well play some music in the background. I like this little background music. Oh my God, that's horrible. Who started that rumor? I don't know. Wait, what rumor? Was it one that I read? Or was there another rumor that I missed? Mark, apparently he is not considered a suspect. Tuesday, News Nation published a video showing a trail of blood outside of the front steps of Nancy's house. The Los Angeles Times reported Nancy's blood was found at the crime scene. TMZ was okay. You guys already know about this ransom note that TMZ received. They decided to go live with it. Other news stations that received the same ransom note decided to be private about it and send it straight to the police, right? So they made sure that that ransom letter made it into the hands of authorities. But TMZ decided, nah, we're gonna read it. What did it say? It said that, let's see. The ransom note basically was demanding more than $1 million. There was a time frame that it needed to be delivered. But right now, I don't know if they're finding any merit to this random ransom note. Damn, I can't even talk tonight, y'all. I think I need some water. KOLD didn't disclose correct. TMZ are douchebags. Yeah, that was pretty messed up. That was pretty messed up. So here, the Pima County Sheriff's Department put out this, the Deputy Sheriff Chris Nanos put this notification out. It said at this point, investigators have not identified a suspect or person of interest in this case. Detectives continue to speak with anyone who have had contact with Mrs. Guthrie. Detectives are working closely with the Guthrie family. Now, while we appreciate the public's concern, the sharing of unverified accusations or false information is irresponsible and does not assist the investigation. Again, no suspect or person of interest has been identified at this time. So that was Deputy Sheriff Chris Nanos of the Pima County Sheriff's Department. All right, let me see. Let me make sure that this is the next video. So Nancy Grace came out. She did another video, which we're going to get into really quick. Ashley Banfield, I hear. Yeah, so Ashley Banfield was the one who came out with the report, and she actually came out with the report really late last night. I think it was around maybe 9 or 10 p.m. here in California. Unity Eagle AI, what's going on? How's it going? Welcome. Take a shot of Patron. I don't got no Patron to take. Who's gonna bring some Patron over? Who's gonna bring it over? All right, so we're gonna get into Nancy Grace because this one came out a couple of hours, 5 hours ago. I haven't seen it, and if you've seen it, we're gonna watch it again. All right, you guys get ready for the Teslas.
Breaking news, Savannah Guthrie's mother missing.
I'm gonna get some water, y'all. I'll be back.
What do we know tonight? Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us. Lots happening, lots of moving parts in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Joining me in all-star panel, straight out to Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter. 100 detectives from the Sheriff's Office and the FBI. Now we are learning a ransom note, possibly the very same ransom note sent to not two, but 3 news outlets, that being our friends at TMZ, Harvey Levin, KOLD, and KGUN. Okay. Also at this hour, the sheriff coming out and stating there is no suspect. There is no POI, person of interest. But wouldn't you agree, everybody, that they always say there is no POI, there is no suspect? Because once you say X is a suspect, then X is shrouded in constitutional protections. That said, I choose to believe the sheriff. Dave Mack joining me. Dave, what is the latest as we go to air right now?
Right now, Nancy, we have been told that the ransom notes going to 3 different locations, we're not being told whether or not they are the same note or if it was 3 different ones. But the content of the note, one of them anyway, specifically talks about places inside the home of Nancy Guthrie and talks about specific pieces of evidence at the crime scene that would only be known by somebody that was in there.
Gotta have your Nancy Grace.
We also know, as you mentioned, 100 detectives are working on this case right now, plus the FBI. And President Donald Trump has promised even more support to get to Tucson, Arizona to try to find Nancy Guthrie.
And I heard that earlier. So I think ABC7 out here in Los Angeles put out an article that stated that they were going to send another 100 sheriffs out there to assist. So if that's the case, I do appreciate that they're sending additional help out there. Redondo said, P.S. Thanks to whoever gifted memberships. It could have been from me. Yeah. At the beginning of every month, you know, we're able to gift some memberships. So we gave them all out last night. So if you received it yesterday, congrats to you.
You know, I want to look at that note one more time. I'm about to bring in Jessica Finn,
Military
senior
Mom,
investigative
what's up?
reporter with the U.S. Sun, but to Dr. Bethany Marshall joining me. Let me see, Bethany. Bethany, renowned psychoanalyst out of the L.A. jurisdiction, author of Deal Breaker. You can see her now on Peacock, and you can find her at drbethanymarshall.com. Dr. Bethany, how'd that strike you? Or else. Or else. That sounds like a 5th grade girl's novel. Do it or else. Or else what?
Or else
Well, it's very coercive, it's very menacing and threatening. But if this was a real ransom note, Nancy, wouldn't this have been submitted or sent to the family privately? Wouldn't it have been sent earlier, like right after the mother is missing, when the family is completely frantic? The fact that it is sent to TMZ and another news agency has copycat written all over it to me.
Something about it. Brian Fitzgibbons is joining me, Director Operations, USPA, Nationwide Security. What is that? He leads a team of investigative experts. They go all around the world looking for missing people. By the way, former Marine and Iraq War veteran.
Let me
Brian,
get rid of the chat
there's something
so you
puerile,
guys can see this.
something juvenile about or else. Who writes that? Do it or else.
I was saying when we heard about the ransom letters, this kind of reminded me of the Tylenol killer. Do you guys remember the Tylenol killer? I think it was back in maybe the late 70s or the early 80s when people were dying from contaminated Tylenol bottles. I think there was a Netflix documentary about it. I can't remember. Hold on. I want to look this up. 1 second. 1 second. Talisha said, yes, I know that case. Early 80s for the Tylenol killer. Okay. So I was a little bit right, but I had to look it up just a little bit. So it said October 1982, while the country was in total panic, Johnson & Johnson received a handwritten letter. It was chillingly simple. If you don't mind the publicity of these little capsules, then do nothing. So far, I've spent less than $50, and it takes me less than 10 minutes per bottle. The price that the ransom note demanded was $1 million to stop the killing. And the instructions they received were the money was to be wired to a specific bank account at Continental Illinois Bank in Chicago. Didi Fuentes, that's your bank out there. Kind of reminded me of that.
That phraseology is bugging me.
Yeah, and there was something notably missing from this alleged ransom note, and that is a proof of life, right? For this ransom note to hold any weight, the author of the note would have to provide some kind of proof of life that they did have Nancy Guthrie in custody, and that she was alive and well, for that note to have any value.
Well, here's another thing, and Jessica Fan, let me go.
Okay, so let me see. Somebody asked, did they ever catch him? They said the FBI eventually caught Lewis. The person who it turned out to be was James Lewis, whose wife had worked at, I don't know how to pronounce that, was owed back in wages when the business went under. Lewis didn't actually expect to get the $1 million. He wrote the letter using his wife's former boss's bank info to frame the boss and get him in trouble with the feds as revenge for the unpaid checks. So the alibi was Lewis and his wife were living in New York at the time of the Chicago murders. Investigators couldn't prove that he had traveled to Chicago or tampered with the bottles. While in prison, Lewis actually started helping the FBI by drawing detailed diagrams of how a killer could have put poison in the capsules. He seemed obsessed with the case, but always spoke in hypotheticals. Because he admitted to writing the letter, he was convicted of extortion and not murder and sentenced to 10 years in prison, which ultimately served about 13 years. That's crazy.
To Jessica very quickly. Senior investigative reporter, the U.S. Sun. Jessica, thank you for being with us tonight. Jessica, what do you make of the so-called ransom note being sent to 3 outlets and claiming knowledge of what Nancy Guthrie was wearing at the time she was kidnapped, and describing the interior of her home as it was left at the time of the abduction?
Who's the weirdo?
You know, the sheriff's department has been so close to the vest as to what information they're giving out to the media, and it's been really interesting to watch. They're doing a great job at talking to us, but not saying a lot. And I think that really this ransom note thing, we don't know if they've previously had a ransom note that they've discovered that was sent directly to the family, and that who knows, maybe these people who have abducted her are getting frustrated by the sheriff's department not acknowledging them publicly. I mean, that could be a thing that's happening right now. The other thing is, and yes, we have not heard that there's been proof of life. However, the sheriff did say today during an interview with NBC that he believes Nancy is alive. And so as to why he is suddenly saying he believes Nancy is alive after these ransom notes went to news stations around the country yesterday, there's something there. There's might be a there that maybe we just don't know, because the sheriff, again, is holding these cards.
I'm curious, though, where did Ashley Banfield get this information that the brother or the son-in-law or whatever was a suspect? Did she say that it was sheriff's department that gave him that information? Y'all are going to have to help catch me up to speed, y'all, because I know you guys are probably already caught up with this.
So close to the vest, despite, being accessible to the media.
Hey.
I want to bring in Jeffrey Gentry joining us forensic certified blood stain pattern analyst, senior crime scene analyst and death investigator, former toxicology analyst, author of Forensic Science, Applications to Death and Crime Scene
That's what she
Investigations,
said, right?
author of blood
Right,
stain
Kai?
pattern analysis, author of Death Investigation, information to obtain during a forensic death investigation, on TikTok.
She hinted that
at
it was law enforcement.
Jeffrey
I
Gentry.
know last night when we were talking about it, while we were watching her video, some of us were under the impression that it could have been directly coming from Savannah, right? Because they had worked together, they really close friends. Something that wouldn't catch us by surprise.
BPA, blood pattern analyst. Facebook, Jeff Gentry, bloodstain pattern analyst. Jeff, thank you for being with us. Jeff, of course.
And you're right, Redondo, right? You said Ashley Banfield is probably right, but the sheriff is still going to say we don't have a suspect because I don't want to rattle anyone. But they could be zeroing in on someone already, which is probably true, right? You don't want to, you don't want to show all your cards. So I don't know how much longer we're going to have to wait until we do find an update, but, just trust that the sheriff's department's doing their job, right? They have the FBI involved. And I heard earlier today that they went back to Nancy's house, which we'll probably get into in a minute after this video.
I'm just a trial lawyer, but when I looked at the blood, let's see the blood that is outside of Nancy Guthrie's home. It looked to me like low velocity droplets, free falling.
And we talked about this last night too. What kind of blood splatter could this be? Because you see those tiny little droplets. And I think we're talking about maybe a potential nosebleed, or maybe, when she was coughing up blood. So I don't know if they were able to determine. I know they did say that they were able to confirm that that was her blood, though.
To me, it looks like maybe from a nosebleed. It does not look like high velocity spatter. It does not look like high velocity spray that you would see from a gunshot wound. It does not look like we haven't heard anything about throwback on the ceiling or the walls from a bludgeoning. And Jeff, when they first told me that her DNA, Nancy's DNA, was found in the home, I was like, well, of course her DNA's in the home. She lives there. But how does that tell
I hope they did, Hope. I really hope they did.
That she was abducted? Ergo, either a copious amount of blood, which means she's severely injured or dead. Like we saw in the Jennifer Dulos Connecticut Mama 5 case, there was so much blood in the garage, they knew she was dead. The location, such as on the ceiling, right, which would indicate a bludgeoning, and then a throwback, or
slapped her in the face.
Spray, or the high velocity, as if there had been a gunshot wound. Looking at the blood pattern that we see, Jeffrey Gentry, that gives me hope that she is alive, because you don't have the other things that I mentioned, Jeffrey.
So I wonder if they collected this blood splatter right over here, because obviously you would have seen blood in these drops. So I'm assuming that this is what they may have collected while they were doing their sampling. I don't know. It's hard to believe that the blood would have dried up and coagulated like this little ring.
When I look at this blood, of course, any blood at a crime scene is always concerning. I mean, you should take all precautions if you find blood at a crime scene. It is a tremendous amount of evidence that's in the blood.
Viking?
Not only can it tell you events that happened, but then, of course, you have the possibility to get DNA. But when I look at these blood patterns, I'm not overly concerned. So you're exactly right. These are passive blood drops. They are drip stains, a little bit of a drip trail, and then there's a blood into blood pattern. A blood into blood pattern is when blood is dripping from height into a blood source, and it creates that neat little pattern of drip stains with the little satellite spatter around it. So this would indicate, one, that this is not a major injury. Somebody of that age can get skin tears very easily in their arms, on their hands.
And we showed you guys the photos last night of Nancy Guthrie, like when she was in the studio with Savannah, and you can see that right above her wrists, right here in her little arm area, that she had some skin discolorations, which are probably more than likely due to, maybe the blood thinners that she may have been on. None of us know exactly what medications she was actually on, but they are saying that it is life-threatening if she doesn't take those medications. And there's not very many medications, that somebody would be taking that could be fatal if they don't receive, right? But blood thinners are those one medications that you really do need because it helps prevent the blood from clotting. And so if she has any heart issues, which she does because she does have a pacemaker, you'd want to ensure, right? And a medication like that, like a blood thinner, something that they'd use like warfarin, those medications are specifically dosed. So it's not like you can get this, you can go to the grocery store, the pharmacy, and just ask for it over the counter, right? They're specifically based on, the dosing is based on the specific lab.
And those are going to bleed quite a bit. But it also indicates that this person is upright. They are stationary for some period of time, but then there's also movement as well with the drip trail. So nothing that I'm seeing would indicate that, one, this person has a traumatic injury like a gunshot wound or a stab wound, like projected blood patterns. You mentioned cast off from a weapon. You don't see impact spatter. These are all large volume stains that are going straight down, indicating that that person was either walking or stationary, but they're upright. The other thing that I look for is, why isn't there blood on the doorknob? Why isn't this person?
That's true, Hope, right? Maybe she's on a potential beta blocker, and that's obviously to kind of help slow down the heart rate and decrease like the workload of the heart.
Hold on. You got me drinking out of the fire hydrant. That's a lot. Okay, I like for you to just go, but I've got to dissect what you said. I hope I didn't interrupt.
Did she just say, I'd like for you to go?
I'd like for you to just go, but I've got to dissect what you said. I hope I didn't interrupt your train of thought.
Okay.
And
She
you know that
didn't mean leave.
you were going to say, and second. But could you, again, slow down and state what you just said? Because I find it extremely compelling. And yes, of course, blood
almost
at
made
a
me
crime
spit on my
scene
drink.
is always bad. It's not good. But given that,
Lexi,
would
how's
you
it
start
going?
again
Welcome.
with the passive blood spots, the drip stains?
Absolutely. So what we're looking at, I'm looking at the photograph right now. There is a drip trail. So those are individual circular blood stains that obviously fell from height. So this person is upright. There is nothing at all to indicate that they were dragged. There's nothing at all to indicate that they were on the ground.
All right, DJ See No Evil, I'm listening, right? You said wait, pause, stop till everyone hits that like button. It's fast and free. I'm listening to you, DJ See No Evil. Do me a favor, you guys. If you guys are just hanging out, lurking in the background, hit that like button. Hit that like button. If you like the content, subscribe. All right, back to the show.
And bleeding. You don't see any blood pools. So that gives me hope that this person is alive. The drip stains and the blood into blood patterns, that's one of the most common patterns you see at any scene, just because usually somebody's upright, they realize that they're bleeding, and they're walking around either trying to get help or going from one point to another.
Hold on. Look at the spot right there. Jeffrey, I'm following up on what you said. You could almost see what would be her footsteps based on what you're saying. One by the doormat on square 2. See, it starts on square 2, square 1 starting at the door. Step, 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 step. I mean, I'm reading into it, but that's all we can do right now.
That's exactly what you'd expect if somebody has, say, a minor injury and they're kind of standing in the same spot, kind of moving around, but then a lot of times people are stepping in their own blood, or the suspect is stepping in their blood. So I hope the investigators are picking up on that and looking for footwear impressions or what were the suspects possibly wearing. The good thing about her possibly bleeding too.
All right, so I just seen that you guys said that Lauren Conlon posted a video. We'll check that out after this one.
Is the fact that her blood is not going to only be at this scene, but whatever vehicle she was taken in, the blood's going to be in that vehicle as well.
Get him, Ronan, get him.
Like this, considering that she might be taking anticoagulant medications, it's not going to stop bleeding right away. It's going to continue to bleed. And so that gives you the possibility of a forensic link from the crime scene to the suspect vehicle. But again, I don't see anything here that stands out as overly concerning regarding death. There's no blood patterns that would suggest a major violent event happened. and that this person is obviously deceased. I don't see that at all.
Kimberly, thank you for hanging out. Have a good night.
Is music to my ears. Jeffrey Gentry breaking it down in an amazing way. Look, she's 84. She's on meds. She's got a heart problem. She's got a pacemaker. She's bleeding. It's not good. I know it's not good, but I'm looking for anything. I'm looking for anything because I care about Savannah.
I hope she was putting up a fight.
I want there to be a good outcome. But we have to look at the facts as we know them. Minor injury, walking upright, no blood pools. She's not on the ground. Okay. Nothing to indicate a traumatic injury, such as a gunshot wound, no cast off. Okay. What more? And I'd like to see the blood again. You were about to say, and second. What was second? Was it the vehicle or is there something else?
Well, one of the other things that I look for is not only where did bleeding begin and where did it end? Where did the person start out? Where did they travel to? But I don't see any blood on the door frame. I don't see any blood on the doorknob. It's a black surface on the screen door, but I don't see anything that would suggest that she was bleeding and trying to get back inside of her house. So you got to wonder, where did this begin and where did it end? Like I mentioned, there's no major blood pools. There's no transfer patterns on the ground. So we don't think that she was dragged away from her home. We don't think that she crawled away from her home. There's only a couple possibilities. Either she walked away on her own and didn't have any major injuries, or she was carried away from her home.
There's absolutely no way that she was able to walk away alone, right? She could barely walk 50 yards, which is 150 feet, without probably getting super exhausted and shortness of breath.
But then you got to wonder too, where did this blood trail end? Was there any blood in the driveway? How far did it extend? So unfortunately, it does give you a lot of answers, but then I've got a lot of questions too. So I would love to be out there looking around at this scene.
Hold on, before you start with those questions, can I see the close-up of the door again? Because we were told, Dave Mack, that there were signs of forced entry. Gosh, I wish we could.
That's right, Hope. They did say there was blood inside the house.
The door was unlocked. That tells me.
I don't know. Ashley Banfield said last night that the back door was left wide open. Nancy just said that the back door was left unlocked. So I'm curious which one is which. Which one was it?
Maybe they came forced. Wait, am I seeing forced entry right there on the right? No, I'm not sure that I am.
Right there? No.
They look at all those locks. There's a heavy duty, it looks like iron, screen door with double locks on it.
1, 2.
Maybe the forced entry was at another entrance or window, and then they walked out this way. That's pretty bold to walk out of the front door. Am I seeing the front door, Dave Mack? I think I am. Is that the front door to her home?
It is. And the thing is, Nancy, you've got to realize that we've been told that Miss Guthrie cannot walk 50 yards without assistance. So she's not mobile, which means whoever is taking her out of the house would have to be helping her. So they wouldn't be able to go crawling out a window out the way they came in. They would pretty much be left with, if they're taking her out, to go out the biggest pathway, which is going to be the front door. And as you mentioned, those blood patterns, if she's got a bloody nose or something along those lines, as they're taking her out, they're leading her, or I say they, because you're kind of talking two people having to help carry her out and lead her down the clearest path possible. So that pretty much makes that a real possibility.
Yeah, with my mom, unless she's using her walker, it is really hard for me to, I can do it, but it's really hard. To get her up and walk
Yeah,
her.
Jazzy, they said that there was a camera at the front and at the back. So both of those cameras were removed. I don't know if they were destroyed, but I know that they weren't there by the time the police got there.
Myself, and as Jeffrey Gentry is saying, we don't see any indication in the blood that she fell at any point, was being dragged along. A lot happening, guys, and I know we keep going back to the one photo over and over, but that is the way you prove a case. You take one piece of evidence, it could be this writing pen right here, and you think, and you examine until you squeeze every bit of information out of that one thing that you can. And did you hear Jeffrey Gentry analyze this blood in a way that I have not heard? Keep thinking, Jeffrey. Keep thinking and percolating. To Brian Fitzgibbons, I want to talk to you about practicalities. Practicalities. If this is a ransom, oh, and that reminds me, I'm going to circle back, Jessica and Dave, about do we believe this Bitcoin account is real? Because I've heard that it has been authenticated. Doesn't mean the ransom note's real. Okay, like somebody could get my checking number.
That's right? The Bitcoin address has been authenticated, which means it's real. It does belong to somebody else. Also, the email that they sent it from. How come they haven't said anything about that? They can validate where the email came from, right? So I'm wondering if that's how they're also zeroing in on their suspect.
Figure it out, right? Or come up with a number. But that doesn't mean I'm part of a ransom or a kidnap. So that could be a legitimate authenticated Bitcoin number, account number, and still not be connected to the Guthries. But to you, Brian Fitzgibbons, you've done this 100 times. So you ransom someone. Don't you?
Oh, and Ronan said, always lock your doors, no matter where you live. The universe is random, and don't increase your possibility of becoming a statistic.
You believe at some juncture you're going to have to show proof of life? I mean, why kill her? Don't you think at some point they're going to have to, if they want that money, they're going to have to show proof of life?
Absolutely necessary, right? Because that's the key to this whole thing. If this is a kidnap for ransom case, they will want to make it very clear to the Guthrie family that Nancy is alive and well. Prior to them sending any type of ransom money, they would obviously demand that. So, that being absent from this ransom note really stuck out to me because you're not going to risk communicating too many times without providing it and potentially exposing your identity.
What do you make of sending it to 3 different outlets? KOLD, TMZ,
KOLD,
and KGUN, KGUN. What do you make of 3 different outlets, Fitzgibbons?
Knee-jerk reaction to this, Nancy, is that this is either a hoaxer who's trying to make a quick dollar off of this horrible scenario.
I just put up a poll too. I'm curious. I'm asking for you guys' votes. Do you guys believe the ransom note is real?
Or second, if it is actually tied to the case, that there's some kind of distraction taking place, that they're looking to tie up resources of law enforcement.
Jeffrey Gentry, let me get you to weigh in on thought that.
Oh wow, I didn't know that, Ronan.
Actually, you brought it up as well. The blood.
Gold Digger said, that's a security door. You need a key to open both locks, and behind that security door will be another door to the house. You usually need a key to get into the front door behind the security door. That's true, right? Those gates remind me of the gates that became very, very popular in Southern California back when Richard Ramirez was, the Night Stalker here in California, in Southern California, in Los Angeles. It was very popular for residences to put up those guardrails over their windows, and they put them up because of the Night Stalker. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Blood conceivably in the car. If she is bleeding from the nose, how could they possibly eradicate the blood from inside the vehicle? And yes, there had to be a vehicle. And whoever did this is brazen, because they took her out the front door, right there in her own neighborhood. So tell me about the possibility of blood being in the car, Jeffrey Gentry.
So if this is in fact her blood, and I haven't seen anything in the news that would say that they did DNA testing already and prove that this was her blood outside of the house. There's always, I guess the possibility that it's a staged crime scene too. Whenever I teach classes, I use my own blood, and I'll make a pattern exactly like that to demonstrate an event where somebody's standing upright and bleeding. So there's always that possibility. So hopefully they've already done the DNA testing and have confirmed that that is in fact her blood. But if she's actively bleeding, either from the nose, and my thought is just with her being a little bit older, rather fragile, that she might have
So
skin.
these were the windows that I was just talking about. How many of you guys had these type of windows, or yeah, these type of bars over your windows at home? These iron security windows used to be really, really popular. Some of the houses today still have them. All right, where are we at? I just lost myself. Here we are.
Tears on her arms. I would suspect that when they do find her, that she's going to have some kind of skin tears on her arms that created these blood patterns, arms or hands, because elderly people, their skin is thin. But if she's actively bleeding, she's going to keep bleeding. It's not going to stop. And so she's going to bleed inside of the suspect vehicle, either on door handles or inside on the seat. And that's not really easy to get rid of. I'm not going to tell everybody exactly how to get rid of blood, but I could definitely give you some ideas. But there should be some evidence of clean.
You had both, Dizzle? You had the door and the bars on the window? Where did you live?
Up if they did try to get rid of it, either bleach or other chemicals. And 9 out of 10 times, if suspects are willing to leave behind blood at a crime scene, they're not going to do a very good job cleaning up a car. So that leaves me hope that there is going to be that forensic link between her residence and the suspect vehicle.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. Between the growers to admire in St. Front 6 ordered the time. What have you learned about
Orange County? Of course you did.
Timeline.
Yep.
At first we were told
sounds about right.
2:45 a.m. Now we're thinking more about 2 a.m. A neighbor states that he went by the home at 6:45 a.m. and nothing was happening, suggesting that she was still there. I think it says just the opposite, that it was all over. She had already been taken by.
That's a good point, Redondo. Actually, that I haven't heard. I did hear that, the ransom notes were sent to a total of 3 different stations, but I didn't know that they sent it to TMZ last because the other 2 stations didn't broadcast it. So that would make sense. They probably knew that TMZ was going to broadcast it like they always do. And they probably thought that they were the only ones that received it, right?
6:45 a.m. What are we learning, if anything, from the neighbors?
Well, so a couple of the neighbors now, I've seen, we have our own reporter on the ground in Arizona at the U.S. Sun, and then I've seen other reports of other neighbors who have actually reported that there was suspicious activity on their own property within like several blocks of Nancy's home, that there was an individual that had been snooping around and looked suspicious.
I heard about that. I heard that there was somebody that was seen in her yard, like around 10 p.m.
One of the neighbors that we spoke to had actually called the cops about this incident back when it happened 2 months ago. There was another incident in the last couple of weeks with another neighbor that was about 10 minutes away from Nancy who reported a similar incident. And then we have the neighbor that's directly across the street who said, when I had emerged from my home at 6:45 a.m. on Sunday morning, I didn't see anything. So, again, her car was left behind, her wallet, her keys, her phone. You wouldn't notice if Nancy was there or not at 6:45 in the morning if she had already been taken, because everything was still left as is besides Nancy herself. From what we know, she was dropped off at 9:45 p.m. on Saturday night. And that drop off came after she had dinner at Savannah's sister Annie's house and Annie's husband, Tommaso. They had dinner together, and then Tommaso drove Nancy Guthrie back to her home. He watched her go in the door. But of course, by the next day, she was supposed to show up at church, and around 11 a.m., one of her fellow parishioners called the cops. Called the family first to let the family know she wasn't there, and then the family went to go check on the house. Of course, the cops were called. So that's kind of the general timeline that we're working with.
Well, I noticed that you just said that the son-in-law dropped her off, not the daughter. And that he waited for her to get into the home before he left, correct?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is. It's been confirmed that he was the last guy to see her.
Okay, and they all had.
Annie, as previously reported, she was reported to be the last person to see her, but now we're learning that, that Tommaso was actually the last one to see her.
dinner together before that. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. At this hour,
That's
we
probably
are
right,
learning that
Goal?
multiple experts are pushing a multiple abductor theory. Jessica, why?
Well, for a number of reasons. She's not mobile, like we've said earlier in the broadcast. She can't get around on her own. So it would take some effort to actually physically get her out of the house. And not in the sense that it would take two people to carry her, but you need like...
Here's one of the photos that I was talking about last night. If you can see here right around her wrist, you can see that there is heavy bruising, right? And somebody who's on anticoagulants like blood thinners, Coumadin, warfarin, heparin, your skin will easily bruise, right? And if that opens up, it becomes a skin tear. That wound is going to bleed and bleed and bleed. I don't think that any of the wounds on her hand may have opened up or any skin tears. I think maybe she may have gotten her nose busted, maybe coughed up blood, or maybe she had a nosebleed.
Somebody to escort her out. You need the waiting car. You need to get her in the car fairly quickly. And so there's the idea that, you know, really this is at least a two-man job. There's also been some theories that there possibly was like a junior abductor or kidnapper involved who may have been scoping out the property in the days and weeks before this actually all went down. But it does seem that at least the very night of likely requires a couple of people to get her out of the house and quietly gag her if needed and get her into the car and then swiftly drive away.
Dave Mack joining us from Crime Stories. Dave, what can you tell me? Can you expound upon the sightings of a, quote, suspicious person?
Actually, Nancy, yeah, there are actually more than one, okay? A suspicious man was actually seen lurking in someone's yard a couple of weeks ago. And
I'd be going crazy.
He wasn't just like a phantom. It was enough that he actually set off a motion detecting light that awoke the homeowner. This was about 10 minutes away from Nancy Guthrie's home. You know, as we've mentioned, it is a neighborhood, but the homes are not like right pressed up against one another. There is a little distance between them. This is an elderly man, and he says he caught the guy in his yard after the motion sensor went off and the floodlight switch is on.
Wow.
The light spooked the guy, and the fellow left away. But that's not the only one, Nancy. That was several weeks ago. But now we find out that there was a suspicious, tall, strange man reportedly lurking in a yard near Nancy Guthrie's residence about 30 minutes before police arrived.
At what time did the police arrive? Okay, so they must have arrived the very next day, right? So I'm thinking Sunday morning. They were calling police after what, 9:10? So who knows? Redondo said they watched her walk in the door. How rude, she could barely walk 50 yards. Well, if they saw a suspicious man walking in the yard 30 minutes before police came, I'm assuming that was the very next day, which would have been hours after she may have been abducted, right? They said that her pacemaker last pinged her Apple Watch at 2 a.m. So I'm very curious what time the first time police got there was.
30 minutes before police arrived, strange man in the neighborhood. All I could think of was Coburger going back the next morning. So we've got at least two different individuals.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. Because somebody had to be with Nancy Guthrie. Unless there's more than one person involved, I don't think that. Well, but you know what? You're right. Coburger did go back.
Not yet, Redondo.
I think you're talking about having more than one person getting around. Again, this goes back to her lack of mobility, her size, medium build, and 84 years old. She's not going to be moving fast. You're going to have help to come out of that house. And you talk about you're taking care with your mother to get her moved around. And these are people that don't care. And it's not going to be easy. So I'm thinking there had to be at least two. So there might be somebody sitting with her wherever they are while the other one's back there watching what's happening.
Gold Digger said, so she's not very mobile. Why wouldn't he help her into the house? Also, did she have a ride to church every Sunday? If so, where is the Sunday church driver that would have picked her up Sunday? Very good question. I don't know if we know if the son-in-law or the daughter Annie was supposed to take her, or what her usual ride was.
Dr. Bethany Marshall joining us, a renowned psychoanalyst. Dr. Bethany, it's my experience when you bring somebody else in on your crime, at some point, somebody's going to talk, or the wife of the perp knows about it, or the girlfriend, or it just starting to get too big and too many people know about it. What do you think?
That's what I've been thinking. I share your thoughts about that. I was thinking, who is sitting at home watching their TV or reading the news online and
Obsidian,
thinking,
what's up?
my husband left at midnight. I wonder where he went. There's somebody out there who knows something, Nancy. In terms of these blood drops, she had a pacemaker, which tells me she was also on blood thinners, right? Because you typically prescribe that to people who have pacemakers, and that the life-saving medication may in fact be her blood thinner, right? So that without that, there's a chance of her heart throwing off a clot or having a stroke or something like that. Another question is, if the blood drops end right there on the doorstep, how did they get her all the way out to the
car, right?
Wherever the car was? Did they have a wheelchair waiting for her, in which case they know a lot about her and her health issues? Okay, so that's very important to me. And was there blood in her bed? I mean, people who are on blood thinners, often they just bleed during the night without even realizing it. And then also, if the blood stopped on the doorstep, did somebody have a cloth or a bandage or something waiting for her to stop the blood drops? And just one other quick thought, Nancy, I'm sure NBC is combing through all of Savannah Guthrie's emails. Did she cover a story that made somebody angry or pissed off? Or
I'm glad they brought that up, because I was thinking about this all day, right? Like, who would want to go and abduct an 84-year-old woman? And the only thing that I could possibly think of is knowing that Savannah Guthrie is actually a reporter. She covers a lot of stories. Could she have potentially pissed somebody off, right? And so I'm glad that they're combing through her emails to see if there's anything that she may have covered that could have sparked this.
And was there somebody stalking her or sending threatening emails? I mean, you said the vengeful nature of the ransom note, or else. Is that reflected in language of emails that have been sent to her? Because she is a well-known figure and they have a lot of security at NBC. And that's an angle that I think nobody's talking about. It would be really interesting
Ronan,
to know
thank you for
more.
stopping by. Have a good night. Thank you so much.
At the risk of poo-pooing Dr. Bethany Marshall, focus on doctor. I'm certainly not a renowned psychoanalyst, but that sounds like a fifth grade girl's mystery novel. That Savannah covered a story and somebody read the story or heard the story and got so mad that they went, oh, I'm going to track down her mom on the other side of the country and kidnap her and ask for money.
Hey, Nancy, I've had threatening emails after being on your show. People read.
Oh, Nancy, did she just say thank you? Thank you.
Hey, Nancy, I've had threatening emails after being on your show. People read all kinds of meanings into what they hear public figures say, but also could it have incited somebody into thinking about how to get back at Savannah, or put her front and center of some disgruntled person's life? I think that's something that should be explored.
I can't poo-poo anything, because who would have thought that a PhD criminology teacher, would target 4 random people he's never met and murder them in the middle of the night? No sex attack, no robbery.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost unheard of. So I really don't have a leg to stand on to poo-poo anything at this juncture. Speaking of trolls, Jessica Finn joining us, U.S. Sun. What about it? I've heard that there are evil trolls attacking Savannah at a time like this.
Yeah,
that's
incredibly,
fucking horrible.
I guess not incredible.
I still can't believe that there's people like that, right? Knowing that somebody is probably going through one of the worst times in their life, And that there's still people on the internet, keyboard warriors, right, that are going to just talk shit, make threats, and bully people. That's fucking ridiculous.
It is the world that we live in, right? There have been several notes sent to Savannah through NBC, basically, claiming that they did this and all sorts of horrible allegations and threats to her. It's really kind of thrown her name aggressively into the national lexicon in a way that has not been, in a way that her name has not been out there before. And unfortunately, when you're a victim of a crime, as you know, Nancy, you become victimized even further. You often, as a case like this unwinds.
Goal says maybe mom is a target because her daughter is very well known, and one would assume she's wealthy and looking for a payout. That is 100% a possibility, right? I'm curious to know what Savannah's annual income is. Let's see. Like $7 million. Let's see what's her annual salary. All right, you guys ready for this? I just did a Google search. It says Savannah Gunthrie earns an estimated annual salary of approximately $8 million for her role as a co-anchor of NBC's Today Show, with over a decade on the program and a reported net worth of over $40 million as of 2026. So she was making $8 million a year. So did she have money? Absolutely. I wouldn't even be surprised if she was covering bills for the entire family, right? $8 million. She is very wealthy, right? She's got more money than I do, right? So yeah, damn, that sucks.
One of the stories that I did earlier this week at the Sun, actually, to Bethany's point, is how NBC has stepped up security in and around 30 Rock as a result of this case. That people on air, that the on-air talent are very spooked over this
I hope that answered it for you, Mama Mia. Let me know.
whole situation. They're all very concerned for their own families and their own lives, and NBC has stepped up security around 30 Rock. They've also had additional NYPD patrols going on in the area. So this has had a real chilling and ripple effect throughout the NBC family.
Brian Fitzgibbons, how hard?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, right? I had no idea as an anchor that she was making this much money, $8 million. I didn't even know you can make that much money as a co-host on TV. $8 million on NBC. So she's on the morning show at NBC. She's a co-anchor, so she's one of the main anchors on the show. And NBC is a staple network station here in the United States. I think the Today Show is a national TV show, so it's all over the U.S., if I'm not mistaken. So that I guess, to understand her salary, that would make sense. $8 million is a lot of money. And could that ransom, I don't know, maybe there is some merit to that ransom. I mean, obviously, law enforcement and FBI, they would know better. But now knowing that she makes approximately $8 million a year leads me to believe that this very well could be because somebody is trying to cash in off Savannah.
Is it to track Bitcoin?
What we learned recently is that this Bitcoin account associated with the ransom note is indeed an authentic account.
Correct.
Now, when it comes to tracking the ownership of that account,
I think it just depends on how the Bitcoin account is set up, right? Or if it's made any purchases through the blockchain. There are like third-party ways that you can purchase Bitcoin that aren't traceable. But if they needed to, I'm sure there's a way for them to trace every single transaction.
That is certainly going to be a more difficult task.
Really? I thought it would be more like an IP address on a computer.
Absolutely, Mama Mia.
This could be a lot more complicated than that, Nancy.
Well, okay. What do you mean by that? I'm just a lawyer. What are you talking about? Why?
DJ See No Evil said that's nothing. He got $8 million in his sock. Well, DJ See No Evil, I think it's time for a sock check then, huh? Sock check.
Is it hard to track a Bitcoin account? Somebody's got to create it. It's got to be listed back to somewhere. It's got to be attached to, is it attached to a bank or no?
I hope so, Obsidian.
Yeah, it's going to be possible.
I really hope so.
But Bitcoin inherently has certain amounts of privacy, a lot more than a standard bank account or an IP address would have. So you would have to assume that, again, if this is an authentic ransom demand, that the author of that ransom note has gone to great lengths to secure that Bitcoin account that could not be traced back to him.
And look, if this whole ransom thing is just a silly joke and somebody decided that they'd potentially just try to cash in because this story was going to be global news, I really hope that the FBI catch whoever's responsible. Like, if this is not pertaining to the whole abduction, I really hope that FBI catches them and you know, makes an example out of them, because they're really just trying to piggyback off of this abduction.
I mean, and that is certainly possible.
Aren't they?
Yeah, Obsidian, ask DJ See No Evil for a couple bucks, and while you're at it, ask him for a couple $100 for me too.
ID by alphanumeric wallet addresses and not names?
That is correct. So you're not going to have an individual's name and street address associated with it like you would, you know, if they said, you know, wire money to this routing number in this checking account number. You know, that would be easily traced and verified.
Well, I can tell you this,
Bitcoin
Fitzgibbons. Let me see him. Fitzgibbons, you may think it's hard to track Bitcoin, and maybe it is. But what, are they going to let it sit there forever? At some point, they're going to move it. And you want to tell me the feds aren't going to be up their tailpipes 3 inches when they try to move that to another account, to another account, to another account? I mean, Washington, D.C., the FBI, they're crawling with people that are digital experts. This is their Super Bowl. Just please put money in that Bitcoin account and see what happens. Although I find it interesting, I think Dr. Bethany brought it up, that it was sent to 3 news outlets, TMZ, KOLD, and KGUN.
Yep.
Why them? Why not the family? Okay, hold on just a second. I want to make sure we've covered everything.
Hope, you know what? You just brought up a good point too, and that's something that I just totally forgot, went over my head, right? It's surprising that they would put what she was wearing in the ransom note if they didn't take her. So yeah, that's right. I'm wondering, is this a legit ransom?
The story that's floating around about an elite group from Border Patrol entering into the fray, Dave Mack, that's been discredited, correct?
Not just discredited. They were brought in for the first day of searching in the area around the home, but they were sent home Monday night.
Right now, I understand that the search is back on.
What did the ransom note say? Mark the Shark asked. Unfortunately, we haven't been privy to, unless another station put out the ransom note, which I highly doubt because they were trying to protect it for privacy purposes. But when TMZ reported on it, and let's see, we'll just kind of pull up the what they said, because they didn't actually like read it. Well, they read some of it. TMZ ransom note.
So
Bring this up really
something
quick.
happened here just a few minutes ago. We received an email at TMZ from somebody purporting to basically issue a ransom demand. I'm not going to read this, but the top line to it is that they are asking for money, a lot. They are asking for it in the form of Bitcoin, and they are...
Has anybody been able to contact this number right here? What's this number right here? I know that they did a horrible job trying to cover this up.
Putting an or else on this.
Right.
Now, they also say they do 2 things.
You don't want that number.
Right. They say 2 things. They say that that there is an address, a Bitcoin address
I'm surprised that TMZ hasn't even blocked this out in post, like after the fact.
That they could send this money to, and then they give a description of something that Savannah's mother was wearing at the time of the abduction and a damaged item in the house.
Both things are clearly mentioned because they want to prove.
Oh, I didn't even hear about that. I heard about what she was wearing, but I didn't know that they talked about the broken item in the house. I mean, how does law enforcement disprove the authenticity of something like this?
That they're legit. That
So
they
what-
have information about something that happened in the house. We
don't know.
Don't know if that is accurate.
We have
Oh, it's
called
definitely
the
hard,
sheriff's
yeah.
department.
It's not that easy,
We've made
especially
multiple.
when the chat is crazy and everybody's like super active. Like last night was a good example. It was super duper hard to catch up. I could barely read them. But you know, on a night where you know it's a little calm, you know, we try to get through all of the comments as much as possible.
Calls spoken with the detective unit. We have passed on this email. We don't know whether this is legit or not, but I will say this
Ooh,
happens
routing
from
number,
time to
Bitcoin
time
address.
where a media outlet gets something like this. So just in due diligence, we've
The one thing we should
has to
say.
be taken very, very seriously. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the one thing we should say is that we have confirmed it. At least the Bitcoin address that they've included in
Is
this email
real.
is legit.
Right. And the authorities will have to take this very seriously. This is a piece of material evidence that has been turned over. They think an abduction happened. They have found substance in the house. The detective
No, if there are any hackers in the chat, we thank y'all, but we don't want y'all here.
walked back a little bit. The sheriff walked back the blood idea. They said that things have been gathered and they are testing those substances, but he did clarify that. This is a very open and active investigation, so we'll have to see what happens.
So we will let you know. But right now, again, all we're doing is we've sent this on to detectives and we will see.
Oh, and keep in mind, we heard this earlier in the afternoon. This was before we heard that there were two other news stations that received the same ransom note, but decided not to go public with it and went straight to authorities. So, yeah, I don't know. Somebody in the chat, I forget who it was that said it in the chat that they had sent it to the news stations first, and because they didn't broadcast it, they decided to send it to TMZ because they knew that they were going to go out and say something about it. And they did.
Drones, helicopters, foot searches had been called
Oh, hold
off.
on. I want to go back to this. So here, you can see, if you take a look here at this photo too, you can see that, I don't know how old these photos are, but I'm assuming that they might be recent. But look, you take a look at her arms here, or her hand here, you can see that she's got bruising all on the back of her hand right here. So I really think that the life-sustaining or the life-saving medications that she was on have to be blood thinners. Right, it would be very abnormal for somebody to have bruises on their arms like this if they weren't.
Drones, helicopters, foot searches had been called off for a period of time, and they have been renewed. That gives me hope. That gives me hope that LE law enforcement believes
Very
that
thirsty,
they can
right?
find something through those searches. If you know or think you know anything about the disappearance of this beautiful grandma, Nancy Guthrie, please dial 520-351-4900. Repeat, 520-351-4900. Before I sign off, Jeffrey Gentry, I gave you a minute to think through what you're hearing. Any other analysis of the scene or the blood? Anything?
I just think it's crazy that anybody would think that they could get away with this. Like you said, I mean, with the FBI, hundreds of detectives working on it, how do they possibly think that this is a crime that they could get away with? So I do definitely believe that there is good hope that she's still alive, especially considering the patterns, the circumstances, and hopefully they find her and quickly and arrest the people that are involved.
Agree. Again, tip line 520-351-4900. And not only that, we are seeking help from a higher source, and we ask that you join the Guthrie family and the Crime Stories family in prayers for the safe return of Nancy Guthrie to the loving arms of her daughter, Savannah.
So this was Nancy Grace's episode. So earlier in the afternoon, there was some breaking news that did come out, and basically they said that the detectives had returned to Nancy Gunthry's place, and that the tape went back up, and they were able to go in there, and they believe they started collecting a few things. So here's a video from Brian Enton, basically showing that authorities did return back to the home
to the crime scene,
and they started to put the tape up, which was weird, right? Because yesterday we saw Brian Enton. He was one of the first people to obtain video of that blood splatter that we were just watching, as soon as the house was released and returned back to the family. And now they're here. They've taped the place back up.
tape is going back up outside Nancy Guthrie's house. About a dozen sheriff's deputies and FBI. I think FBI showed up here. There's also a dog, canine. We have our drone up, so I should have better video in a second, but there's another team of officers that came in this van.
Wow.
And we don't really know what's going on because it's been quiet here for the last couple of days. But now clearly they are about to do something at the house.
Oh, I believe it, right? When it comes to TMZ, especially at least here in California, they've just got sources everywhere, right? I'm sure that in neighboring states next to California, they still got a ton, and they damn for sure have a ton of resources and inside sources in New York, right? Yeah, I mean, some of us may not like what TMZ reports or how they report it, but the truth is they have eyes and ears everywhere, and they thrive off of being like the first to report it. Look at what happened with Michael Jackson, right? That's probably how they blew up. That and the Mel Gibson case when he was arrested and got that DUI, and then the Kobe Bryant case when Kobe died January 26, 2020. The world knew before Vanessa was notified, right? She found out through TMZ.
All right, I'll keep you guys posted.
All right, that was Brian Enton, who showed video of the police going back up there. Let me see. I don't know if I have any other.
It's been.
Oops. Is there anything else that came out after that? Oh, let's see. There's a video from News Nation that came out about an hour ago. So this is probably most recent updates. This is about an hour ago, or 3 hours now.
Here. What is striking to me about this, Ashley, is this is what should have been done on Sunday and Monday, and the idea that you had somebody who was abducted, they knew they were abducted, and the police tape came down, and anybody who wanted to walk up to that front door, as some of our crews did to get video and the like.
You're right, Hope. They actually went over to Annie's house too, right? Is that where they collected items from Annie's house right before they went back to Nancy's?
Were able to, and now they just came back. I think it just sort of underscores the bizarreness and the, I don't know, what is it? I don't want to say lack of competence, but perhaps the peculiarities of how the police have
That's
handled
true,
this
Luck
over the
Chameleon.
past 4 days.
If the perp, if the perp didn't write the letter, then you have to look at the likes of loose-lipped law enforcement staff who might have shared very relevant information. Savannah's wealth makes for a big target. $8 million a year, right? That's a lot of money.
There have been a couple of peculiarities. I give them grace
I hope they
because
removed some of the
it's a
items from
lot
Annie's
when the national
house.
media descends upon.
So Goal said yes. They removed items from Annie's house. I'm assuming they had a warrant, but something them caused them to return today and go inside the home and extract things. I wonder what it was that they took. You can take the girl out of the newsroom, but you can't take the newsroom out of the girl. Sometimes I miss the news business. Sometimes I do not. Ah, FBI went to both places at the same time. Wow.
In your small community that's pretty safe. I think, Leland, the last big thing that happened here was Gabby Giffords was shot over a decade and a half ago. And they're tap dancing in real time, trying to answer questions, trying to be maybe as transparent as they can, while at the same time trying to forward think the integrity aspect of what they're going to need in the investigation. So I always give the police grace when it comes to that. Heck, you and I make mistakes live on air, but I do think it's odd that we've had multiple stories multiple times from the same jurisdiction. We don't know who dropped Nancy Guthrie off at this point. It's either Annie and her husband Thomasall, or it's the husband, and that's all three sort of come from the sheriff. The sheriff had to walk back the fact that she was dragged from her bed. It was something the sheriff said. And the next day he had to put out a statement saying, well, I didn't think you take me literally. So it's some things are a little off. But again, the grace, because it's moving quickly. I agree with you. I don't think this crime scene should have been unsecured after about 30 hours. But there's a lot to see there that is very troubling, clearly.
Okay, so in terms of timeline right now, there are reports that the last
I haven't actually seen the video yet.
Mrs. Guthrie, the older Guthrie's pacemaker, talked to her cell phone, pinged her cell phone, was at about 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. And then she was reported missing around noon on Sunday. So conceivably, whoever took her had quite the head start. This just now in the past minute or so, Ashley, from the President of the United States on Truth Social. I spoke directly with Savannah Guthrie and let her know that I am directing all federal law enforcement to be at the family's and local law enforcement's complete disposal immediately, in capital letters. We are deploying all resources to get her mother home safely. The prayers of our nation are with her and her family. God bless and protect Nancy, President Donald J. Trump. Ashley, as you're looking at this right now from the stories you have covered, what are the things that the feds are needed for?
What? I'm not going to say anything about this guy.
Well, especially in
Jazzy, have a good night. Thank you for hanging out.
In this kind of business all the time, feds are amazing when they can descend upon a community like Pima County and bring their technical savvy. So, for instance, Brian Enton did some incredible reporting today about agents that he saw over at Annie Guthrie's house. That's Nancy Guthrie's other daughter, Savannah's sister, saying that the agents that were over at that home today and were there yesterday, today specifically, they had on jackets that said ICAC. Now, don't jump to conclusions yet. That is an organization called the International Crimes Against Children Task Force, but they are exquisite in their ability to do cell phone analysis and tech analysis. So the feds, to answer your question, are really good at that. They are also incredible with their laboratory resources. They can have things tested instantly at Quantico. They can just do a lot more than a smaller county community can do that isn't practiced in the art.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below.
And then there was the video that they put out. Let me see. The family. So it was Annie, Savannah, and their brother. I don't know the brother's name, though. Let us see.
We want to
hold on one second. Let me go ahead and pull this over.
thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful,
Good to see you too, Dilladank. How you doing? How you feeling?
loving woman of goodness and light. She's funny,
Justine,
spunky,
UK's in the house. How's it going? Good morning.
She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
The light is missing from our lives. Nancy is our mother. We are her children. She is our beacon. She holds fast to joy in all of life's circumstances. She chooses joy day after day, despite having already passed through great trials of pain and grief. We are always going to be merely human, just normal human people who need our mom. Mama, if you're listening, we need you to come home. We miss you.
Our mom is our heart and our home. She is 84 years old. Her health, her
Oh,
heart.
definitely, right? They released that house too so
She
quick.
lives in constant pain. She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer.
Now you can totally hear the pain in her voice. It feels so
We
bad.
too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media.
Ooh, look at that look that she gave when she said ransom note.
You have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the
Ooh, she is pissed. Because if that thing is real, I have a feeling with that look, she knows exactly who that ransom note came from.
media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
Wait, Redonda, you said apparently it was the Internet Crimes Against Children's Unit. For which one? That leaked the ransom note?
Mommy, if you are hearing this, you are a strong woman. You are God's precious daughter, Nancy.
Or the ones that released the information?
We believe and know that even in this valley, He is with you. Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere. We will not rest. Your children will not rest until we are together again. We speak to you every moment, and we pray without ceasing, and we rejoice in advance for the day.
Oh, DJ See No Evil. FYI, they are reading from an actual letter. So if it does sound rehearsed, it's probably because they are reading a letter. So they're not just speaking freely.
That we hold you in our arms again. We love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
We love you, Mom. Stay strong.
We love you, Mom. We love you.
That was the letter. And that's the, hold on, let me see, because I think there's something new that just came out. Let me see where it's at. Let me see. Where is it? Is it this one? Did we watch this already? No. Crime scene at Nancy Guthrie's home, very troubling. Did we watch this? I don't think we did we? No, we did. Okay. No. All right. So those are the latest updates, or at least what I believe are the latest. If not, we'll definitely make sure that we follow up tomorrow. But I do kind of want to circle back around to the D4VD case, because News Nation just put out a video with Lauren Conlin. Or Lauren Conlin put out her own video, and then News Nation put out another one. So they're really short videos. So we'll take a look at this. I guess they're Lauren Conlin has an update from Neo Langston's testimony today.
David's friend and associate,
I can't even talk right now, you guys.
Neo Langston, finally took the stand before a grand jury investigating the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez in Los Angeles on Wednesday. I have a lot of questions, and namely, it centers around the fact that he only testified reportedly for 30 to 40 minutes. That's it. Best friend of David. I would say he is widely known as the best friend of David. I mean, even if you don't know them personally, you can look at social media. You can see the fact that they were once always together. And as a reminder, no one has been charged yet in the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the teen girl who was found deceased, allegedly dismembered in the frunk of David's Tesla in September of 2025. No one has been charged, but there is a grand jury that has convened. And by the way, it's being run by a homicide prosecutor, Beth Silverman. So let's get into this because again, David's manager, Robert Morgenroth, he was reportedly on the stand for 3 full days. That is a long time. Neo, I'm thinking there's a couple reasons why a guy like him would be in and out of there. The first reason is that he may have invoked his Fifth Amendment rights. He walked out of the courtroom with a lawyer. I'll play the video that TMZ actually posted. And I also spoke to a friend of mine that works there just to kind of confirm everything because again, I am deeply invested in this case and I am investigating this on my own with original journalism, but I am in New York and sometimes it is not that easy. But God, I can only imagine the questions I would ask waiting outside of that courthouse. We'll get to that. But yes, Neo left the courthouse with his attorney. He didn't answer any questions from the reporter, but the fact that he had his attorney there made me think, okay, maybe his attorney is saying, invoke your Fifth Amendment rights if you're going to say something that could possibly incriminate you, right? And
Right.
it's interesting because Neo, we reported as well as everyone else did that he was arrested in Montana after failing to appear as a witness, and he was subpoenaed to be a witness. I mean, he was served the paper and he chose to flee or ignore that. I mean, that right there just doesn't really sit well with me. So yes, one option is he invoked his Fifth Amendment rights on advice of counsel, or the other option that I was kind of thinking about is, sometimes, just sometimes, and hear me out, prosecutors, they will narrowly question a witness if there's a possibility that they could potentially be considered a subject or a suspect in the case. So they could just keep that testimony short and sweet just to sort of get the lay of the land, only ask him about a certain narrow set of issues and then come back to that later. I don't know. These are my educated guesses just based on the fact that it was such a short amount of time. I'm willing to bet that it was the former, that he invoked his Fifth Amendment rights. Again, I don't know that for certain, but, I also was researching, have there been any cases where witnesses took the stand in a grand jury and they were later charged? And yes, there have been instances of that. I was looking at one. It's a federal case. This guy was called before a federal grand jury to testify about narcotics activity in another case. And then after his testimony, prosecutors ended up charging him with attempted distribution of heroin and also perjury. So, I mean, and this is a totally separate case, but this is the case of the United States versus Roy Mandujano. And then also there was a serial killer, Elmer Wayne Henley and Dean Corll, where someone testified as a grand jury witness. And this is not necessarily the same thing, but someone testified in the Dean Corll case. And then Elmer Wayne Henley ended up getting arrested after this guy's testimony. So again, these things happen. So I'm going to pull up.
What do you guys think it was? Why do you guys think it was such a short testimony? 30, 45 minutes or 30, 40 minutes, whatever it was. That that is really, really short. So do you guys think that okay, we're gonna end the poll, but it's basically split down the middle. Do you believe the ransom note was real? 50% say yes, 51% say yes, 49% say no. But I'm curious, what do you guys think the reason is why they let him go so early? Could he potentially be a subject or a possible suspect? Or do you think he invoked his Fifth Amendment?
MZ getting Neo outside of court, and oh my gosh, he looks much different than he does on social media. And also when he was getting arrested, he's always in like hoodies and sweats, and now he's got glasses and he's got a blazer, so he's looking all professional.
Hey, Neo, why are you being called to testify today? How did everything go in there? Why were you avoiding testifying?
I love this girl.
Do you think David is innocent?
Viking
Is there
woman
anything you
says,
want to tell the public?
I don't think
about
he's
the David
talking.
Case? Anything?
Yikes. Okay, I mean, obviously this happens a lot. I do this as well. I will not TMZ is very committed. They're very good. And I've seen their New York producers outside of court. They will literally follow these attorneys as the attorneys are silent for a good block. I mean, but I'm used to also asking these questions and getting zero answers, as frustrating as it is.
He did get a haircut, right?
I love.
He did get a haircut because that photo that we have of him, his jail photo, right? His mugshot. He definitely had longer hair.
Of the questions that she asks Beth Silverman, who is the prosecutor here.
How do you feel about walking into court today? Can you tell us anything about where you are in the case? Why is Neo being called as a witness? Why hasn't David been arrested, or where's David at?
Ooh.
Can you tell us anything? Thank you.
Sorry, I so feel for her. She did a great job, but I loved those questions. Why is Neo being called as a witness? That's number one. Why hasn't David been arrested? Great questions. I think we kind of knew that she wasn't going to answer those questions. But again, let me remind you that that's Beth Silverman, and she is a hardcore homicide
The
prosecutor.
sniper, y'all. She is
I
the
don't think
sniper.
that she would be presenting this case if they weren't treating this as a homicide. Sorry about that. So yes, I mean, although there are even more unanswered questions at this point, in my opinion, I do think it's interesting, and hopefully I can find out some more information as things become available to me as to why he spent such a little amount of time on the stand. I also, I want to point out again that Neo is not officially considered a suspect by the LAPD. Technically, David isn't either, because the LAPD have not come right out and said that either of them are suspects. So I just want to put that out there to make sure that I'm doing everything in the correct and legal way, I guess. But justice for Celeste. I am happy to see
Justice
that the grand
for
jury is
Celeste.
still being convened. They are still calling
With
witnesses.
the purple
And I
emoji.
might have to get myself out there just to camp outside that courthouse, literally. All right, guys. I will keep everybody updated on this tragic and perplexing case. Justice for Celeste. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Los Angeles Magazine. I'm Lauren Conlin.
All right. Jesse Weber just put out another one too. Let's see what he's got to say. He says that there is a weak case against D4VD.
Nearly 2 weeks since the
I hope it's just not a recap of what Lauren Conlin just told us.
arrest of 23-year-old Neo Langston. If that name doesn't sound very familiar to you, his buddies will. Neo is apparently friends with singer David. You know, the guy who allegedly owned the Tesla where the decomposing body of his reportedly underage girlfriend, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, would eventually turn up. We're talking 14 years old. Neil Langston was arrested in Montana, of all places, for allegedly failing to appear as a witness in court. But those days are over. TMZ is reporting that Neo showed up at a Los Angeles courthouse today for his time in the hot seat before reportedly a grand jury potentially hearing evidence in the David case, that he spent roughly 30 to 40 minutes in front of the panel before leaving. Fairly interesting, by the way. Not only did he dodge questions on his way out, but 30 to 40 minutes, not a long time. What did he testify to? And let's not forget why this is such a big deal.
Gold Digger, yeah, they said that he was there for 3 days, which was some outrageously long number or long amount of time, right?
It's been nearly 5 months since Celeste's body was found, and there have been no arrests, no charges. Are we now any closer to justice for the victim? I'm joined now by somebody who knows this case backwards and forwards, Lauren Conlon. She's an LA Magazine contributor and host of the podcast, The Outlier. Again, she's been covering the case since the beginning. Great to see you. Okay, what's the connection between David and Neo, for people who don't know, and what do you think he testified to, if in fact he testified in front of a grand jury?
Sure. Well, David and Neo, they ran in the same social circles. Neo is also an influencer, a popular streamer. He goes by Neo the Asian. And what's super interesting, Jesse, is, by all accounts, these guys are very, very close. I mean, Neo was seen in tons of David's social media pictures at his home, on tour with him. And then after Celeste was found in the frunk of the Tesla, Neo unfollowed David, and it appears that he has wiped his social media about 90% clean of David. So the fact, that the police extradited him literally from Montana to LA to testify here, and he only spent 30 minutes on the stand. I mean, that tells me that he invoked the Fifth Amendment. I mean, I don't know this personally, of course, but I mean, you go through all of this trouble.
Nah, he definitely
right?
wasn't walking out with that
Close to
smile,
David.
right?
David's manager, Robert Morgenroth, was on the stand for 3 days. This is not really adding up, Jesse, and I'm starting to get really worried here. I mean, this is taking long enough as it is, but you've got a little girl, a minor child who was found in the trunk of a popular 20-year-old singer's car. I mean, what are we doing here?
I agree with you. 30, 40 minutes in a grand jury, it can happen because it's, one-sided proceeding, but it feels really short. I mean, if he, pled the Fifth, right? Self-incrimination.
David's in the backpack.
Work out some sort
brought
of
him in.
immunity deal, right? There was a talk about whether or not he was the target of this, whether or not he was just a witness. I guess he's afraid about what he might say.
Well, right. And if you saw the TMZ video of him coming out of court with a lawyer, he had an attorney, so he wasn't talking. And so clearly his attorney instructed him, if he did invoke his Fifth Amendment rights, his attorney said, yeah, you don't really have to answer anything. And, I thought it was interesting what the TMZ producer actually asked Beth Silverman, who is the homicide prosecutor, I might add, just to reinforce the fact that we are talking about a homicide. But they were asking Beth Silverman, why hasn't David been arrested yet? And then they said, why did you call Neo as a witness? I mean, I think that a lot of people have speculated based on camera footage that people have viewed that are connected to the case that he was around the area of David's home right around the time that David was leaving for his tour at the end of July. Now, I'm not saying that means, he's guilty of anything, he holds any culpability, but, him being in Neo's house, around Neo's house, by the car, I just feel like we should be.
Did she just say being in Neo's house?
He holds any culpability.
I know she this is probably just a slip. She probably meant to say David.
Him being in Neo's house, around Neo's house, by the car, I just feel like we should be a lot further along here, and we're not.
And something to clarify, we have no idea what these charges could be. It could be a homicide charge, it could be a disposal of the body, or, by the way, there has been talk about, could there be charges regarding David's alleged relationship with a minor, and what could they be looking at? And he could be a central figure. So it is interesting to see this. I spoke to Steve Fisher, the PI, who's like all over this case. He's concerned that this shows a weakness in the case. Do you think there's a weakness in the case, though? Because, my gosh, it's been going on for several months. They have the car. You have to imagine they've been presenting witnesses. Do you think this is a weak case? Unless
unless, now, this just popped up in my head and I don't know if it's true or not, right? Because we did receive a comment on one of our lives who sounded very, very, it was a very strange comment, which I'll pull up right now for you guys to see. Most of you guys have probably already seen it. Let me just pull this up really quick. We received a message on one of our comments that basically stated Neo did not hide out with his mom. Neo lives with his mom. He was never served. He never drove the Tesla. He is not in a plea deal. He has nothing to hide. He was cooperating with the DA already, and the arrest is completely bogus. Nancy is Melinda ducketing him. I'm very curious if he has already met with the DA's office, if he's already met with a grand jury, right? Maybe this was day 3 that TMZ found Neo at the courthouse, right? So maybe this isn't the first time that he's testified. This statement right here says that he was cooperating with the DA already. So is it very possible that Neo has already testified? And this may have been the last day? Mama Mia said, I think it was Neo too, Hope. Just because SF says he saw who it was, but wasn't allowed to say it. But kind of also a rhetorical question. Was Neo driving? Hope said, Flojo, when are you going to believe he lied to his mama? I don't know. I feel like his mama really came out to his defense on this one, right? Tara said, that dude Neo lied to his mother, you guys. I am sorry. I am sure he did. Kai said, I doubt Neo is saying anything beyond his name. DJ C No Evil said, I never seen it. No, but really, thanks for reading it out loud. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anything that we can do to make this show better, DJ C No Evil, let me know so it'll be easier for you to digest. If Neo did it, David knew it. If David knew if Neo did it, I'm not ever going to not think that group effort. I don't know. We'll see. Prosecutors likely would not have their star witness in the grand jury because the defense would eventually get the transcript and they could potentially impeach the witness. That's a great point. I feel like I've heard that earlier today. I think that he may have told them that he would tell them everything, though, if they let him go. Dang. I don't believe that he wasn't served. He has a lawyer, and surely his lawyer would have informed him that he had a grand jury date to testify. It was really weird to just receive this, whether it was real, whether it was not fake. We touched on this, and when we went to the YouTube channel that this comment came from, there were videos posted, and the content of those videos included Neo's mom. So, and then one of our good friends was able to do some digging, and they found the same exact videos posted from a Facebook account that belonged to the mother. So, I don't know. Was the mom coming to his defense in the comments of a really micro YouTube channel? That part trips me out. I don't know.
I don't even know.
Oh, and once, we put that out on the internet, the person completely changed their profile, deleted all those videos. So that was kind of sus too.
No, it could be against David, could be against others.
I am beginning to think that this is a weak case. And actually, you know what? I take it back. I'm not beginning to think. I think I thought this from the start, essentially, when there wasn't an arrest. Pretty much immediately after the body of a teenager is found in someone's car. I mean, and this person just happens to be somewhat famous, and they happen to have resources here.
Yeah.
And look, you're right though. This is concerning, and I think Steve is right. This is concerning because this is not just about Celeste being deceased here. You have a minor. You might even have some kind of
That's a good point,
issue.
Hope.
I mean,
that's what Steve says.
I'm not sure.
Thank you for watching.
Sassy said, I think David's crew are all groomer recruiters of kids. It just seems so strange he moved so freely through middle and high school, right? I mean, he was homeschooled, right? I believe it was his mom. Sorry, I didn't share your comment. Hope said, I believe it was his mom. I just think that his mom wants to believe their sons. Neo doesn't exactly seem like the man of the highest moral character. Tara said, they need to be talking to David no matter what. No matter what. For being a PDF file. It's crazy, right? You'd imagine that the car belonged to David, right? That the day that he got in, the day that he came home, right? That they would at least bring him in for questioning. That's the one thing that I don't understand. What constitutes you bringing him in? Like, what, you can't just bring him in because the car belonged to him?
Subscribe below.
Oops. I don't know. That seems a little weird. I think it's a little odd. But anyways, I think that's going to be it for tonight, you guys. It is 10:45 over here. I am a little tired today. As you can tell, that I felt pretty groggy throughout this entire show. I do apologize, but all of you guys that were here, thank you guys for hanging out. Shout out to Mac Dizzleson for renewing her membership. And then Didi Fuentes for donating that $3.99 super sticker. Anyways, you guys, thank you guys so much for hanging out. I will see you guys on the next episode. And hopefully we have some more updates on Nancy Gunthrie and her safe return. And maybe, just maybe, we might have some more D4VD news tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. I am out of here. Peace.